The Climate Change Emission Management Corporation we've just formed it as a separate standalone corporation, but it really was inspired by legislation that was brought in 2003 by the Alberta government, which said that they were going to set energy intensity targets for the largest emitters in the province, the CO2. That's those companies who emit over 100,000 tons a year of carbon dioxide, and there's roughly 100 companies. You have an emission target, like they set 12% improvement, which, in one step, so you're not going to reach it right away. And so if you can't reach it on your own, then you have options of either buying offsets, credits from other entities that are approved through the Alberta government, or you can put, for every ton you want to cover this way, you put $15 into the Climate Change Emission Management Fund. This was it wasn't actually enacted and started gathering the money until 2007, because you have to realize that, first of all, there is no other jurisdiction in North America that had set any targets with consequences. So Alberta, despite the bad press we get, is actually leading in this area. And the thought is, so this money gets paid in there, and by legislation, it can only be used to reduce greenhouse gases or work towards adapting to climate change. So the government collects that money. It's then earmarked. It can't go into general revenues. The minister then puts it over to a bank account in effect, or through to us with a grant agreement. Right. Our board is made up just of industry people or non-government people, let's put it that way. It's not just that, but it's very knowledgeable people. And our role is to take the funds, which to date is $122 million. Wow. It's coming in at the rate of $80 million a year, because we've been collecting since, that's from middle of 2007 to the end of 2009, we got 122. And we'll get the next tranche, each year. But we then go out and seek innovative proposals, technology proposals, through an expression of interest process, and then we'll shortlist those expressions of interest down to a manageable number of projects, get them to work very definitive plans, and then we will fund those plans, and we will then steward and track the progress so that we can actually measure the greenhouse gas reductions. Wow. So it's unique in that it's industry paying in, it's money that's not threatened by the ups and downs of the government cycle, it's sustainable, and then it's industry that is accountable and takes responsibility for coming up with the greenhouse gas reductions. And so we know we're going to have to measure it. So a lot of technology funds, they declare victory once they put the money out. Well, we don't. We're going to follow with the people who are doing the projects to make sure we get the greenhouse gas reduction. So the philosophy behind this is why I like it so much, is that we know really ultimately what we're trying to do is trying to come up with transformative technologies that reduce the carbon footprint of our fossil fuel industries. That's oil, gas, and coal, and they will, for many more years, they will still provide the lion's share of the energy, but also so that we can develop an appropriate portfolio of renewable energy sources. So we encourage wind, solar projects, geothermal, bio solutions, biotech ones, and so our first expression of interest, we got this thing off the ground, and because we wanted to have something that the Minister Renner could talk about in Copenhagen, we only allowed 2 months for the first expression of interest. We had to get this whole system up in line and get people put their ideas in. And I was worried, I have to tell you, that maybe we'd only get 30 or 40 proposals. Well, I needn't worry. We got 223, total ask of $1.6 billion. So, and that was an overwhelming response. And it's very encouraging, because it tells you, first of all, that people are out there, they got good ideas. and they're willing to bring them forward. So it gives us a lot more confidence that this idea of the technology fund is ultimately going to take us to where we all need to go. And I've been a believer, and I think technology has got us to where we are today, and particularly when I use the oil sands as the example, and it's technology that's going to take us to where we need to go tomorrow to make it sustainable and good long-term energy supply for Canada and North America. Alberta is a leader in this area, despite you know, the way they're portrayed at times in the media. And as I said, Alberta government was the first jurisdiction in North America to actually set meaningful targets that had consequences on there for industry. You know, and I think also they did it, to be honest, because we couldn't wait for people any longer to come up with the policies, because it gets too risky. The longer you wait, the farther you got to go. And so we really wanted to get moving on this. So we arbitrarily chose $15 as the cost per ton for carbon. And you know, you'll hear from David Suzuki and many others, oh, it's got to be a lot higher than that. And you know, it probably does scale, but we had to start somewhere. And even with that, we're able to generate like 80 million a year, or 122 million, and get some Albertans and people outside of Alberta. We don't limit who can put proposals forward. The only limitation on them is that if successful, that it could be applied in Alberta. That's the only limit we put on. We don't care if the money is from Ottawa or United States or somewhere else, as long as we could see the clear path as to how it will reduce greenhouse gases in Alberta. I take my hat off to the government and the people who worked on it, people in Alberta Environment and a few others who you know, developed this concept, because I think it's what we need to do, and it'll position us well as we go forward to develop a harmonized approach for North America, because we can't be out of sync with the U.S. I agree with our Environment Minister, Jim Prentice, on that. So, but at the same time, Alberta says we can't wait until you develop that system. We got to get going, right? And so we're going.